Most soldiers are trained to follow orders. They move in squads, they wait for artillery, and they rely on the man to their left and right. But in April 1945, in the dark, rain-soaked outskirts of the Dutch city of Zwolle, there was no squad. There was no artillery. There was only Leo Major. The Allied command had a simple, brutal plan: level the city. Thousands of German troops were dug in, and the only way to root them out was a massive firebombing that would turn the historic city into an ash heap. Leo Major looked at his commander and said 2 words: "Stop it." He promised he could liberate the city by himself before the sun came up. No bombs, no reinforcements, just him. This is the story of a man who was once captured by 21 German soldiers, laughed in their faces, and then took them all down in under 45 seconds. This is the story of the one-eyed ghost, the greatest scout in military history. To understand how one man could take a city, you have to understand who Leo Major was. Born in New Bedford and raised in Montreal, Leo was a French-Canadian with a temper and a total lack of fear. When World War II broke out, he didn't just join the army for the paycheck, he joined to hunt. He landed on the beaches of Normandy on D-Day with the Régiment de la Chaudière. Most men were just trying to survive the first wave. Leo? He was already capturing German Hanomag half-tracks by himself, but his career almost ended before it began. During a skirmish shortly after D-Day, a German soldier threw a phosphorus grenade. The blast was devastating. Leo survived, but the explosion destroyed the sight in his left eye. In any other army, for any other man, this was a ticket home, a medical discharge, and a pension. But when the doctor told Leo he was being sent back to Canada, Leo looked at him through his one good eye and said, "I only need one eye to aim a rifle, and I see better than most people with 2. He donned a black eye patch, started calling himself a pirate, and went back to the front lines. He didn't just return, he became a scout, a ghost who moved through the night, specializing in deep reconnaissance missions that terrified the German High Command. By late 1944, Leo's reputation was growing. During the Battle of the Scheldt, Leo was sent out alone to find the location of a German garrison that was pinning down his regiment. He was moving through the thick mud and fog when he stumbled, literally, into a German patrol. He was surrounded, 21 German soldiers, all with rifles leveled at his chest. In that moment, the German officer expected Leo to drop his Sten gun and surrender. Instead, Leo did something terrifying. He started laughing. He knew the German morale was crumbling. He knew they were cold, hungry, and scared. He began shouting at them, bluffing that his entire regiment was right behind the trees, fingers on their triggers, waiting for the signal to open fire. The Germans hesitated. That split second was all Leo needed. With a burst of speed that shouldn't be possible for a man with one eye, Leo opened fire. In a chaotic 45-second whirlwind of lead and grenades, Leo moved like a demon. He gunned down the officers first, then dove behind cover, firing from a different angle, then another, then another. He was moving so fast, and the noise was so deafening, the Germans truly believed they were being attacked by an entire platoon. Within 45 seconds, the fight was over. Those who weren't dead dropped their weapons and put their hands up. Leo Major didn't just survive, he marched all the survivors back to the Canadian lines as prisoners. This brings us back to the night of April 13th, 1945. Zwolle. Leo and his best friend, Willie Arsenault, had volunteered to scout the city to see if the Germans were willing to surrender peacefully. But early in the mission, they were spotted. A German machine gun nest opened fire, killing Willie instantly. Leo was now alone in enemy territory. He could have retreated. He could have called in the artillery strike that would have leveled the city and killed the men who shot his friend. Instead, Leo Major went on a rampage. He entered the city at midnight, armed with 2 Sten guns and a bag full of grenades. He began running through the streets, firing bursts into the air and throwing grenades into empty buildings. He would sprint 4 blocks, fire again, and scream in French and English as if he were leading a massive charge. He captured a German driver and forced him to lead him to the officers' mess. Leo walked into a bar full of German officers, took a drink, told them the Canadian army was coming for their heads, and then vanished back into the shadows. He did this for hours. He was a one-man army, making so much noise and causing so much chaos that the German commander became convinced that a massive Allied force had breached the perimeter. By 4 a.m., the German garrison, over 1,000 men, abandoned the city in a blind panic. When the sun rose over Zwolle, the citizens came out of their homes expecting to see a wasteland. Instead, they found the city intact, and standing in the town square, exhausted and covered in soot, was one man with an eye patch. Leo Major had liberated an entire city by himself. Leo Major was a hero, but he wasn't a company man. When General Montgomery, one of the most powerful men in the Allied military, offered Leo the Distinguished Conduct Medal for his bravery, Leo did the unthinkable. He refused it. He told the general that he was incompetent and unfit to give out medals. Leo didn't care about the brass. He cared about the soldiers on the ground and the civilians caught in the crossfire. Years later, during the Korean War, Leo would do it all again. He led a small group of scouts to capture and hold a strategic hill against an entire division of 14,000 Chinese soldiers. He held that hill for 3 days under constant fire. This time he finally accepted the medal, becoming the only Canadian to ever win the DCM in 2 different wars. Leo Major passed away in 2008, but in the city of Zwolle, he is immortal. Every year they fly the Canadian flag to honor the one-eyed ghost who saved their homes. History remembers the generals and the maps, but it's men like Leo Major who remind us that sometimes all it takes to change the world is one person who refuses to back down. If you want more stories of legendary soldiers who defied the odds, make sure to like this video and subscribe. And tell us in the comments, what would you do if you were Leo Major that night in Zwolle? Thanks for watching.